Okay, I think I'm live. Um, yes. Okay. Well, welcome back, or welcome anybody who happens to fly by this Friday afternoon live. Um, it's so today I'm talking about the Akasha, and my I wanted to put together like a better some way to expose this project that I'm working on, because I'm putting out little pieces at a time. But the idea is I'm working on a holistic project um, with 21 hidden root causes of disease. So I'm really curious about where our issues come from, right? Um, as we know in the modern world, science can only explain whatever they have actually discovered discovered at this point. But then we've got eons of wisdom that go back, centuries, millennia, to wisdom traditions like yoga, and civilizations that were quite advanced and had technologies to understand um, the human condition. And we find ourselves, at this point in history, um, it's really incredible how very little we know. And of course, we is kind of a difficult term to use because there's so many people and so many. Um, we all have different pieces of the puzzle or different understandings, but on a whole, if you look at mass culture, right, we kind of have a problem here because there's a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of immaturity, and um, there's a lot of lost information and um, disconnection from truth and from uh, yeah, the real deal, which um, many people who are consider themselves seekers are. That's their project, is to get back to some semblance of what feels authentic and real to their heart and to their gut and to their mind, so they can feel sane and feel safe and feel like they're in an environment where they can grow. So the the Akasha, which is the topic today because we're talking about soul contracts and beliefs, um, they they originate in the realm of the Akasha, and this is like what my this is my sixth live, I guess. Because, or no, I haven't been doing these from the beginning, have I? Anyway, I think I've only done four, maybe. But anyway, the um, I just lost that train. Choo choo. I don't know where it went. Okay. So yes. Oh yeah. Um, I talked a few weeks ago about the five elements, right? And so it's very easy to understand the four elements. And some people actually only. I was reading something recently, and they only listed that there were four elements, and I thought that is so apropos, because we that's kind of what we think in the third dimensional consciousness, is we just think that there's air, fire, water, and earth, right? That's all we have in the 3D. But then, people, we have the fifth dimension. So 5D, right? The fifth element, the fifth dimension. Anybody paying attention? There's some, like, you know, symbolism, some messaging coming at us from, the other realms that are trying to communicate to us. There are five elements, and the fifth element is ether, and it is bringing us into the fifth dimension, because that is 5D. If you've been hearing about 3D to 5D, that's what we're talking about, is something that was intangible before, something that people didn't have words to describe. I mean, there were always people who did, the mystics, the sages, the apostles, or the spiritual people, the spiritual people always were accessing the ether. And other people thought that they were crazy because they couldn't see what they were accessing. And the people who, you know, were thinking the other people were crazy couldn't see the fifth element, which is ether. And yet, the point is that, again, with Aquarian Times, my podcast, and with the fact that we're entering the Aquarian age, and I've certainly have been paying attention for a while, that there are a lot more intuitive, sensitive people on the planet, and they were not told by their successors about the ether because their successors did not know about the ether, but they came into the realm, this earth realm, knowing about ether and feeling ether and communicating into ether, which is the invisible realm. So again, in wisdom traditions, um, the ether is also known as the Akasha. And so you have the, and if you hear people, you know, maybe you have heard talks or teachers who've talked about the Akasha, and they say this also often is referred to as the Akash as well, just like pranayam, Akash. You know, they tend to leave the A's off of things sometimes. Asan. Anyway, you'll see that in the yoga world. But the idea is, you know, people will talk about, oh, it's seen in the Akash. So it's the people who are the seers, the mystics, the sages, the psychics, who will look into, peer into the ether and be able to report what is happening there or what did happen there many lifetimes ago. It's quite a fascinating subject, and I think increasingly, not just I think, but I know that increasingly this is going to be a realm that's going to be navigated more with more fluency. There will be more of a shared experience of the Akasha, that we will have reference points that are way more common to share information about. And there are small circles, obviously, of people who are doing this. And then if you know of people who do shamanic journeying, which is a different, you know, cosmology or spirituality, but excuse me, they have the upper realm and the lower realm, and people, you know, can talk about how they found this or that. They can share signposts along the way in these realms. So there are definitely people who are discussing things from the etheric perspective, but it's, you know, not the majority of the populace. So that's, again, one reason why I'm here to talk about it, to bring it up, to explore, because I, again, have personally I was exposed at an early age to the realm of the Akasha, I guess you would say. And so there, you know, if there is an access point, if there is some way that you have, in a sense, slipped through the cracks in reality and able to access this other information from this other place that's, again, not tangible, but it is quantifiable, it is evidence-based. Like if you've heard people, there's that term in mediumship, for instance, when it's evidence, like an evidence-based medium, where they can quantify, you know, if they, what they heard from a spirit who's crossed from the other realm, they can quantify that with the people who are alive in the room. So it very much is real, even though it's not visible per se, at least to many of us, although it is to some of us. So, you know, if you think about like a kind of an information superhighway where you've got, you know, some of us are plugging in like a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, maybe because we had a dream and we had some kind of vision, and we plugged in here, and then we went back to regular life, and then we plugged in again, and we got some, again, unusual psychic information, and then we unplugged, and then we plugged in. So think of it like this. This is what I'm doing. We have the third dimension down here. We have the fifth dimension happening up here. And we're living in the third, blah, 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 la-di-da, going food shopping, doing whatever we're doing. And sometimes we're plugging in. And then we come back and we do our normal thing. And then we plug in. And then we go back. And some people are here in the fourth dimension, like, doo-doo-doo, riding along in between the third and the fifth, right? Like, ooh, I saw that, but I still have to do my grocery shopping. Oh, I'm having this experience, but I still have to act normal. And that's, again, it's a lot of stimulation. It's a lot of stimulation, and a lot to juggle on the input level. So the idea is that, again, there's always access. It is said that the fifth dimension is the lowest dimension that we access the Akasha in, because the fourth dimension is not necessarily unbiased, right? It's not an unbiased realm because it's a mental realm. So there's what's called duality, where there's dark and light, good and bad, like and not like, attraction, aversion, right? So you're hanging out in the fourth realm, and it's like there's things, boo, that'll scare you, like a ghost, or there's things that you oh, a vision, I want to go see that. So there's things that you're still kind of bumping along, like, getting pulled along by your senses, by your five senses. And when we do graduate to the fifth dimension, there's just a acceptance of what's called the non-dual realm, or the one consciousness, where everything is love, everything is acceptance, and heart consciousness. So there's no division in the mind. There's no choices, because the only choice is the heart path. So all that being kind of a little bit of a what do you call it, precursor to talking about soul contracts and beliefs. So yeah, so we have the Akasha, and the idea is that if we can drop into the level of looking at our lives from the perspective that we have made these other choices before we came here, to have these experiences that we're having, to meet the people that we're having, to have the health challenges that we have, to have the preferences that we have, then we can have a sense of acceptance for the fact that this was part of our path, that because so much of our energy is wasted in blaming others and having regrets, right? So thinking that things shouldn't have gone the way that they did, or thinking that something was somebody else's fault. And really the idea with the Akasha and looking at things from that level is it's taking the movie camera and panning to the world and just turning it back on ourselves and going, I am the only one in this show. And this is really advanced. Like I can't say that I am able to do this all the time personally. I'm a student on this path, and I'm learning how to have that perspective. And because it is really confusing when and it's a developmental thing. Like when we have things happen to us, it is important to understand, dynamic, and what is mine and what is theirs. And there is such thing as toxic relationships. There are such things as contracts that are null and void, right? That should be over and that we need to rewrite. But the fact is that that's what we're doing in real time, is that we came here to have this experience, and now we're awake and we go, what do I want to do about this now? Like, do I still want this experience? Now that I'm waking up to the fact that I made this choice to obviously be here and have this, am I at choice yet? Because I think that's, the path of karma is, we're not we don't have free will until we basically um, have no karma left. I mean, we may still. That's what timing. There's a term in Ayurveda, in the Sankhya philosophy, called Kala, Kala, and it's about timing. So it's the same idea that, we could want something, but we're not done. We're not there yet. Like, we don't have the ability to make that choice yet. And that could be very, very frustrating. But it's like planting those seeds about, who do I want to become, and so that I can have choice to become the person that I want. And not, that's the idea of destiny and fate, is that it's fate is the sort of the monsters that are grasping at us, trying to pull us down, you know and are we going to collapse into that pit of their of them having their way with us, which is all our demons and people who have faced a lot of addictions, right? Is there are demons, they're waiting to devour you, if you give in to them. Like, if you keep doing the drugs and, drinking as much alcohol as you have, is identified as is not healthy for you, then those demons they're gonna have your life, right? That's called fate. But destiny is the higher path, where we can, if we're lucky enough to wake up and have the strength to move past those temptations and those patterns, called samskaras, of moving into staying in toxic behaviors and relationships, which are, bound together, to have toxic relationships and toxic behaviors. Those usually go together. Once you can leave a toxic relationship, you can then leave those toxic behaviors behind, and then you can find a healthy relationship from there, or relationships, or whatever your life is you're trying to do. But the idea, again, it's all about consciousness and awareness, and that is what the path of yoga is about: is waking up to our habits, waking up to our patterns, right? Our mental patterns, our tendencies, our prakriti, our nature. Right? Prakriti means nature. What is our nature to do? And can we forgive ourselves, and then be at choice to say, I love the person who's doing these things, these destructive behaviors, or the self-sabotage, or whatever, and I want to choose differently. And even if maybe in my timeline it'll be another 5 years or something until I actually have the chance to live in a different way, right? But you have to keep your eye on that prize, right? And that's that moment when you I mean, again, you can rewrite a contract, do a ceremony years earlier, and then the life changes really start to blossom, maybe years after that, because that's called kala, timing, which we don't necessarily have control over all of that, right? So it's quite a bit of a rant. I did say other things, different things in the podcast, and also in the blog post. If you have a chance to listen to the podcast or read my short little blog post, that's more information if you want to read more about that. And I just wanted to introduce this concept for now as a hidden cause of, where we can start to tap all the way down to that cause and go, I accept that this is happening, and I accept that I'm not going to fight it anymore, and I'm going to open to this, and that I'm going to make new choices now that I see what's really happening, and I'm not in denial anymore. So denial is the killer, and it's all about waking up and being at choice in our lives. So I just wanted to add one teeny other thing, which is kind of interesting. I was listening to there's a really great uh, live conversation, not live, but recorded conversation with Brene Brown, who everybody loves, the vulnerability woman, and what's his name, Russell Brand, who's quite a rebellious character, and so they have this. If you Google it, he does a live or podcast, he records live with people, and I highly recommend watching that. I actually have only caught maybe less than half of it, and I want to go back and watch the rest. But at one point in the conversation, they were talking something sound. They were talking about um, what it's going to take for us to move from this Kali Yuga, this energy, this crazy, destructive, divisive, us against them, me against you kind of place that we're at in society right now. And they both agreed that it would be spirituality. And they didn't say religion, because religion is a lot of what got us into this trouble. They said, wouldn't it be great if we had a universal spirituality? And I thought, the Akasha. That's it. The Akasha is the universal spirituality. And more people are talking about soul contracts and beliefs, and making vows before you were born, and understanding that we came from a source and that we will go back to a source. There's no judgment, there's no hierarchy, and everything is included, and there's room for all of us. It's a loud sound. Okay. Anyway, so the idea is, I just thought, okay, that's my vote. I'm voting for Akasha and to be the new universal spirituality. So you can join me next time we vote on this as a society. That's what I want to see. That's what I would love to see happen, is that more people wake up to the fact that we don't have to choose, between us and them. It can be both. It can be all, right? We're all welcome here. We just need to stay in our hearts and, have love for all beings. So, okay. Well, thank you for listening. It's been all about 23 minutes there, and this will be on the page if you want to take a look. Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye.